Welcome to the Lady Landlords Podcast, where we empower women to gain financial independence through real estate investing. I'm your host, Becky Nova, founder of Lady Landlords. If you're ready to buy, manage, and grow your real estate portfolio, then let's get started. Welcome back to today's episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. Every couple of months, I sit down and I review what is going on with my portfolio, what my numbers are looking like, and build out what I want to do in that next quarter. And since that's something I just recently did, I thought I would share that experience with you and give you an update today on what my portfolio looks like and where I plan on taking it over the next couple months. So this is a practice that I really get into, not only from a business perspective, but when running our portfolios, we have to think about it just in the same way. It is a business, and if we want to continue to grow or see accomplishments through our portfolio, we have to get a really good understanding of where we are and where we're trying to get to. So here we are now, as I'm recording this at the end of summer, beginning of fall. And as the weather changes, it never makes me happy. If you've been following along with Lady Landlords for a while, you know that I tend to be a sun chaser and prefer endless summers. But here I am in New York, starting to finally pull out all of those sweaters and pants and boots, and I am not excited about it. So it gives me a great reminder and a great anchor of why real estate investing is important to me. You might know that my goal really is to be able to move out of New York and live in the Dominican Republic half of the year. So that way I never, ever, ever have to see snow again. So in order to do that, that is really one of the reasons why I'm building my portfolio, and I'm building it in a very intentional way to be able to give me that freedom, to be able to travel, to not have to be around to manage my properties day to day and answer every single phone call from a tenant. So here's what's been going on. Past couple of months, I actually bought a new duplex here in New York. That duplex actually had one tenant that I had inherited, and the other was vacant. So I had to spend a little bit of time flipping that unit. We had to get it ready. It was almost the same as if any other tenant had just moved out of ours, and we had to do just some of those upgrades and make sure that everything was clean for the next person coming in. It was great. We really did not have to do a ton of work, but it still did require us to make a couple trips to the property to fix some items. Now we were able to get that property ready and we rented it out. We also had a couple other vacancies. It was interesting. People always talk about how the best time to be able to rent is during the summer. Well, and a lot of landlords will try to actually get all of their leases to end during those summer months. But the downside to that is that when you have one vacancy, you might actually have more vacancies. So we ended up with quite a few vacancies over the summer, which was a great opportunity to refresh those apartments. So my husband and I really had worked on that, and then we're able to rent those out. We did those really through our pre-screening process, which then leads to open houses and then the application. You can go back and take a look at my screening process in some of our earlier videos here on Lady Landlords if you're watching us either on YouTube, or if you were listening to our podcast, you can go back and hear all about how I find tenants. Then one of the last things that I was able to do during the summer is some of those upgrades to our properties that we wanted to get done before winter. This is something that Emilio and I sit down every couple months, and we also make a list as we're evaluating our portfolio quarterly. We make a list of all the things and the larger items, those capital expenditure items that need to be taken care of on those properties. We list them out, we make sure we have our estimates, and we also give them a time frame of when we're going to be working on them. And since our properties are mostly in New York, there were just a couple things that we really wanted to make sure that we got done before winter hit and before it got too cold to do some of that exterior work. So we made sure to finish those things now in the summer. So really this summer was just stabilizing everything that we had. But now we have to look at it and say, well, where exactly are we going next? This is incredibly important to me. If you've been following me for a while, you would know that really my strategy is to own the least. Many of you may know that my strategy is Many of you know that my strategy means that I am looking to buy the least amount of properties for the most amount of money. That means that I don't want a ton of doors. I don't want to be able to ever say like, oh, I have 100 doors. I don't even want to say I have 20 doors. I want to be able to hit my income goals for the least amount of properties. And that means that every once in a while I have to go back and take a look at where we are. Now, after building our portfolio for the past 4 years, my husband and I have hit a lot of the income goals that we were looking at. But we are like right there at that last one thing or one or two properties that we really want to be able to buy to round out our portfolios. And then really we can move beyond purchasing those properties. So when it comes to that though, since we just bought that duplex, since we just found all these tenants and are making sure that our new tenants are happy in their homes and that everything is working well for them, it's really decided for us that it was not the right time to start looking for another property. So we're focusing on some of the other real estate strategies that we also invest in. Two of the other things that Emilio and I do is we do invest in syndications, and we also invest as private lenders in other people's projects. So these are places that we've decided for the next few months are going to be our focus. That's really part of our real estate investing business that we want to be able to grow. So we are working on really rounding that out. I actually just spoke to the syndicator that I personally invest in and said, hey, this is something that we want to be able to push more money into at this point in time. What else do you have kind of going on right now? And we were given a lead on really a great project coming up. Now, back in March of 2022, Lady Landlords got together and we actually did a group investment into a syndication. And I think this might actually be a deal that's going to be another great opportunity for the group to get involved in. So more information will be coming on that over the next month. But I do think that that is something that I will be putting more money into this fall, in addition, once again, to private lending. Private lending was actually something that also Emilio and I fell into quite some time ago. And it's a great opportunity to be able to bring in income, but not necessarily have to deal with the day-to-day tenants. Since we just have spent so much time getting our tenants settled into their new places and doing those upgrades on our rental properties, it's just nice to have a little bit of change of pace for a while. But we never really stop looking at properties. Those are still things that we always are continuously updating our realtor about what we're looking for. And he and I are always strategizing between what properties we're going to be looking for next. So it's definitely something where I try to stay focused on the fact that we're going to be dealing with more syndications and private lending for the next 3 or so months. But there are a couple purchases that we would like to make. And if the right property came along, we're absolutely going to move on it. One of those properties is to find another long-term rental that would actually be most likely another duplex here in New York. That is what that is looking like, but we want to purchase something in a slightly different area than what we normally do. So we've decided that we're also going to be dedicating the next few months to being able to do the market research that we need on where we would like to purchase that duplex. So that's something that Emilio and I really enjoy doing, not only from a research side, but since we're also going to be investing in another property that's going to be close to our vicinity, it is something that we want to be able to drive out and go take a look at some of those areas. So we're not in a rush to make that purchase. That is probably a purchase that'll be coming up now in 2023, but we need to lay the groundwork for that now. And like I said, if the perfect property happens to cross our paths, I'm sure we will decide to move on it. The other property that is in our queue to be able to purchase is a short-term rental. Once again, the Dominican Republic is a place that I absolutely love and that my husband and I plan on living in during the winter. It is his home country where he is a dual citizen. We already own property down there, but we actually own a long-term rental down there. So the short-term rental would be a place where he and I would be spending our winters, and then we would rent it out the rest of the year. That gets a little tricky then, because really I want to be living there during the high season for the Dominican Republic. We already have a complex and a neighborhood picked out. It is really just tweaking to make sure that we can find the right unit. We also have a realtor down there that we are working with that knows exactly what we are looking for. So really the debate in my husband's household, in mine and my husband's household, is that we are looking for which property is going to pop up first. Is it going to be that short-term rental down in the Dominican Republic? Or is it going to be that long-term rental duplex that we're going to be looking for again in Westchester County, New York? So we are not in a rush for either one of those, but I want people to also think about the idea of what's kind of going on in the market right now. We have been noticing clearly higher interest rates, but we have not seen, at least here in New York, too much of a drop in prices. So that is definitely something that we are going to be watching over these next couple months. I would be very happy to be able to still pick up a property now, especially because I do think that interest rates are going to continue to grow. But it's a great opportunity to get out there, see what's happening, and to always be looking. All because you are looking for property does not necessarily mean that you have to buy that property today. But if you have a great idea of what your buying criteria is, like I just went over with you, with what Emilio and I are currently looking for, then when the right property hits your desk, you know you can move on it. So that is what I will be working on this quarter. It's all about stabilizing current properties, growing creative strategies, and then also keeping our options open as we lay the groundwork for more growth in rental properties in 2023. I encourage you now, as it's the end of 2022, to sit down and do the same thing and evaluate your portfolio and your financial situation so you can plan for a great and prosperous 2023. If you need help evaluating your real estate portfolio, do not hesitate to reach out. I do offer free consultations where we can talk about your portfolio and help make recommendations of where we can go next and be able to help you reach your income goals as well. I can put the link down in the show notes for you, but you can head over to lady-landlords.com/roadmap to learn all about how you can set up a call with me to have a chat about your portfolio. Thanks for listening today. Please do make sure to hit subscribe, whether you're listening to us on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, so you do not miss the next episode of Lady Landlords Podcast.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate journey, visit lady-landlords.com/roadmap to book a one-on-one workshop with me. I'll help you determine your next best strategy. Or you could subscribe to our newsletter for exclusive tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a Lady Landlord today.